one of your strongest relationships, one of your friendships, is with KJ, Khairy Jamaluddin, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was, or maybe still is your best friend.
Yeah, I think I'm.
When did you first meet him? When did you first meet? Tell us a little bit. Let's go back.
Yeah, Khairy was in Kuching originally, it was in lodge school, my original school, but we must have met that. But
high school, is it? I mean, secondary school.
I was actually kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yeah, because
right.
his father was based there, and then eventually his father was ambassador to Japan and UK, and he left the country for a while. And then one day I met Khairy when I went to United College in Singapore, and we kind of hit it off, So United College. Khairy was the cool. He was like the cool guy. He had some leadership qualities. Then you can see that he was obviously head of the football team and all that. So I suppose it was serendipitous that we'd hook up later on, and we eventually lived in London together, and we
So you became fast friends in Singapore, yeah?
Yeah, and also the kind of friendship that we can also have a grump at each other for like 2 months or whatever, and not talk to each other for like 3 months or whatever over some stupid thing, So it's one of those things where I kind of understand Khairy at a different level as he does me. So
and you guys are actually quite different. I mean, he's into politics, you're into music, So
yeah.
What was the basis of that chemistry that allowed you guys to become such close friends?
Well, I think understanding. Khairy does understand a great deal. He's well read, and he has his idiosyncrasies that he doesn't reveal to everyone. When people say who is Khairy and they try to figure him out, Khairy is a bit of an enigma, and you wouldn't realize this, but he's a guy with a lot of principle, and I know that Khairy sometimes has to play to the gallery, I just stopped judging him on what his party was doing.
When he plays to the gallery, right? You mentioned that, like especially when he was UMNO Youth Chief. Yeah. When he first became UMNO Youth Chief, he played to the gallery. He did all that Ketuanan Melayu thing, right? Did you reach out to him and say, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, I did. That was when I kind of realized that everyone's doing the same thing, and it's not really doesn't really help him. And after a day of politics, you want to come home and meet up with your friends, whatever, and not talk politics, So
you don't talk politics with him.
Sometimes, but I think if there's something important that I feel that's important to bring up, I would, but I wouldn't. I would stop telling him how to do his job, rather, as he didn't tell me how to do mine, kind of thing, So when you get in that territory, you realize that he may be a public servant, but he's not my servant, So I think people have to understand that about
That's
friends.
Well put, actually.
Yeah.
So you mentioned he was principled, right? Some people think he's not, right? So give us an illustration of why you think he's principled.
Well, I think it goes to show that he didn't leave UMNO. He's a loyalist, and regardless of whether the party is naturally whatever people call it, racist party, or based on a racial or apartheid agenda or whatever, people like to see a loyal guy. People like to see somebody that's not party hopping. People like to see someone who's trying to change things from the inside. And that was him being principled in who he is, and just that's part of who he is. And I think another time when he was bombarded, Khairy was on the fourth floor, this and that. One night he calls me, and this is a terrible time because he was in the media for all the wrong reasons. And he calls me up. He said, "Jace, I need you. I'm near your house." I'm like, "What's up? There's been an accident. Come to the bridge on Jalan Bangsa." So I rushed out. I went to my bridge on Jalan Bangsa, and there was a crowd around this car that had careened off the road into the ditch, and Khairy was there in the car pulling this guy out, holding his hand. There were paramedics there, and the guy was like, my girlfriend." He's like, she's okay, man, she's okay. And I got there, and I was like general guy. I was like, the cameras, it's a hero moment. They're gonna get him. They're gonna hit Khairy Jamaluddin saves this guy, And the camera went into Khairy's face, and he goes, get out my face, chuck the camera away, And I was like, what? Why? Because he was getting, he was under fire in the media, and this is something that no one would see. That nobody would see this heroic moment where my best friend was literally covered in blood, carrying this Chinese guy out of all people. It was a Chinese guy, It wasn't. People can say, "Oh, it was a Malay guy." It was a Chinese guy. He was being genuine. And
it's interesting you mentioned Chinese guy. Well, you're sort of a Chinese guy.
Exactly. It's Chinese Irish.